Kia ora everyone, today I'm going to cover some more LEGO superhero news. This time it's all related to the DC sets of January 2025. If you missed the video that I covered yesterday, which was focused around all of the Marvel reveals, you may click right here though. Fair warning, I'm not a big fan of that wave and it was mostly negative than positive. I'm sorry. My feelings on these DC sets here are a little bit more optimistic. I don't love any of these sets build wise or price wise though, but we'll get into all of that as we go. If you enjoyed this look at some LEGO DC 2025 sets and you have a differing or similar opinion to what I have to say here, please let me know down below in the comments, and liking this video and subscribing to the channel here does help to support more videos like this one in the future. There are only 3 sets to cover today, so it should be simple stuff, but I do have just as much to say on these as I did the Marvel sets yesterday, so sorry in advance if this isn't a quick video. First up is this year's offering of the Juniors series of Batman based sets. This here is Batman and Batmobile versus Mr. Freeze. It's a very boring naming convention as always with only the superhero sets. Only 63 pieces in total and 2 minifigures here of Batman and Mr. Freeze. It's retailing for 20 USD, so it's looking to be around 35 NZD minimum here maybe. Could be higher. I'm not really in the LEGO Juniors market, so I'm not sure if this is the norm or not. Yeah, I think that says it all really. This just isn't for me, and I'm guessing most of the adult collectors feel the same on these. I think both of the figures are new though, so if you are missing a Mr. Freeze in your collection, because it has been a while since we had a baseline comics looking variant of him, he does look eerily similar though to the animated series figure. I can see a reuse of like that helmet piece and possibly even the headpiece there. I believe the Batman figure there is sporting a brand new design, which we'll probably be seeing a lot of now. The bigger cowl piece is used there and just the basic Bruce Wayne head underneath. I like the cowl used on these comics and cartoon type figures. I don't really like it being used on the movie-based figures though. More on that later. This little card's just, yeah, it is what it is. It's not a set that's aimed at the older crowd though, so no strong feelings for me on this one. This next set though, oh my god, finally, a long time coming on this one. Superman Mech versus Lex Luthor here contains 120 pieces and 2 brand new minifigures of Superman and Lex Luthor. It's going to retail for less than the Juniors set, just priced at 15 USD, so it could be 25 NZD, maybe a bit higher, possibly reaching that $30 range for us. As I've stated across multiple videos on this channel now, I don't care for mechs. I'm okay with them sometimes when the character is best suited for that mech, someone like Iron Man or Lex Luthor, because it does fit in with those characters more than it does say Spider-Man or Batman. When we heard about this set a while ago, it was easily a hotly anticipated set for me. Superman and Lex Luthor in a mech set, it's a perfect concept, but let's just acknowledge the very bizarre choice of giving Superman of all people the mech here and not Lex Luthor. I don't know the reasoning behind this. Some people online were saying it's because hero mechs sell more than a villain mech, but we still get mechs based around Venom and Thanos. I have to imagine that even the set designers here realize the irony of including Lex Luthor, a character who is prominently depicted in mech suits, and not giving him the mech build. I've also seen people online say that it's because they've already done the Luthor mechs before, and yeah, they have, and those are great sets. Let's not pretend that repeats haven't stopped LEGO in the past. The last set that we're going to talk about today is literally a remake of a set that was on shelves less than 2 years ago. I just really struggle to get over how strange this is. I genuinely believe that if the roles here were reversed and it was Lex as the mech operator, you would have a top set of the decade so far. Those previous Lex Luthor mechs are all-time favorites of mine, and I'm not alone in thinking that. And this set here would have been revolutionary for the newer crowds because it's priced lower than what the previous one was priced at. Admittedly, yeah, there's less pieces and less minifigures, but you get Lex and Superman, and that's what's important here. I know that it sounds dramatic to be praising this set like I am, but as of 2024, it's the first time that Superman has been seen in a LEGO set in about 7 years. People like to bring up the CMF series from 2020, but I don't count that as a traditional play set. It was also a release that he shared with every other character in DC. Last time we saw Superman and Lex Luthor in playsets was in 2018, and it was the final peak era for DC superheroes. The priority of resources and budget moved on to Marvel from that point on. Marvel branding is everywhere objectively and a lot more in your face than DC is right now. Hopefully something that will change with the upcoming slate of movies. I think that this mech here is really weird. It's got silver fingers that just look odd to me. Doesn't seem to have a cape either, so I don't think LEGO do capes for these mechs, but if they ever needed to introduce one, this was the one to do it in, man. I also think it's funny to see that he has a printed piece of his logo, but LEGO don't have the correct 5-sided piece that works for that logo, so they printed it on a triangle piece and it looks so janky and bootleg to me. The figures there are obviously the highlight for this, and after years of waiting, I think Superman is decent enough, but he does need a lot of improvements. I think the Lex Luthor is more or less great, just a tiny issue with the expression there. Superman not having boots is really annoying to me. The set is being priced on the lower end though, so they couldn't do too much there for detailing, but it is weird to see him being released in a set where Lex Luthor gets all the love for leg printing for some reason. Superman also doesn't have a belt for his hips there. The belt is just printed on the torso instead of being where a belt should be. I hate that, man. Just plain blue legs does not work for me, but replacing the hips with a yellow piece, which I'm interested in doing, it's gonna make the belt look massive. I'm hoping that we see Superman with some shorts in the future because I need that design. This set here kind of reminds me of the Wolverine mech. We were waiting so long for Wolverine figures and for X-Men in general, and that Wolverine figure is, I think, the worst one easily, but we eventually got really good looking Wolverine figures later on down the line, so maybe we'll get something better for Superman in the future. He's got a double-sided expression with the laser eyes again, and it's cool to see that the expression is new at the very least. It's a bit more of a simpler look than he used to have, but I'm always going to prefer having the hopeful looking smile rather than the angry I'm gonna kill you eyes. The hairpiece though is that slicked back look that they've used for a lot of the dudes in LEGO. That swirl piece I think is still used, very rarely. I think it was in the Guardians of the Galaxy set. Boy, is that piece due for a comeback now. Lex Luthor, I don't really have too much to say other than it's a pretty damn good looking Lex Luthor figure, and he really stands out amongst those previous releases. He's got translucent green shoulder armor there, they gave the guy a gun, the printing for the torso and legs is very fancy like, and for some reason he was chosen to have the privilege of leg printing, but you know, I'll take it. My only issue here is that face print is very outdated. He's had it for years now, ever since the first release of Lex Luthor in 2012. Lex Luthor rarely saw any changes in his expression. He had like a couple of them for the exclusives. I think like that polybag one for the video game was a different face, but mostly it's just this piece or something very similar. I don't want to let them get away with it this time or anything, but I was told that I was a bit too harsh on the Marvel sets video I did yesterday, so I'll allow it for the time being. But where do we go from here? Well, we should be getting some Superman sets, or at least a set based on the new movie releasing in 2025. I love it when LEGO give us the option of having a comics and movie based set in the same year. I swear to God though, I'm going to be really frustrated if the movies figures are very similar to these two. I need some distinct features to actually be able to tell the differences between those figures, but I'll save those ramblings for when that set's actually revealed. The last set here to talk about is the Dark Knight set. Again, it's fine, it's mostly another mixed bag for me though, because of based on what this is representing for me personally. Batman, Tumbler versus Two-Face and Joker. Call it something else please. The set here has 429 pieces in total and 3 minifigures, but it retails for apparently 60 USD, which is around 100 NZD. That's a direct translation of price as well, so it could even be higher. I really hope this isn't the case, but if it is, I can't help but feel pissed off at this. Batmobiles have doubled in their prices over the past 5 years. Since some of the earlier releases of the 2010s period, these were all dead set to be around 50 bucks. That was the base price for just about anything that was vehicle related here in NZ. Jedi Starfighters, small battle packs, whatever the next set up was from the smallest release, $50 was our standard price. Eventually $50 became $60, and we started getting some Batmobiles priced at $60. That's just inflation for you. This set here is really important because it remakes the Tumbler that released only a few years ago, which was based on Batman Begins, this one here now being based on The Dark Knight, and I think that's going to be their loophole for justifying why a remake of this came so soon after the previous. As far as the build goes, I can't really tell what the difference is. I've got no strong feelings for it because it looks exactly like the last one I bought. I suppose upon closer inspection I can tell that some smaller pieces are used in differing areas for details that you would need to see in person to properly see. I can also tell that some of the colorings changed a little bit. There were a lot more bronze pieces in the previous release, and this one seems to get rid of those entirely. This set here is the previous Tumbler that released. It released in 2021, but it was available all the way up until December of 2022, only 2 years ago. The set here contained 422 pieces in total, and it retailed for 40 USD, and I was actually able to go back through my order history and I found my online receipt for the time. I managed to get this for $67 and $5 of that was for shipping. If it's true that this is really nearly $100, I think we have a huge problem at hand, and I'll be doing everything I can to try and grab this on a steal because absolutely no one should be buying this at full price. I think LEGO know what they're doing here because for one thing, it is a set based on the most popular Batman movie of the past 20 years with this current generation, and another thing is that they've included the elusive Heath Ledger Joker figure, and for the first time ever, Aaron Eckhart's Two-Face. It's a set released in a kids wave but definitely targeting the older crowd. The set here features a bat signal build, which is pretty cool to see, and I'm starting to wonder if this might be the new regular release from here on. It's not a printed piece though, it is just a sticker of the logo, and I can't see any actual form of a light source despite what the image art here indicates, just clarifying that the high price point couldn't possibly then be for a light up brick function. As for the figures, I don't like that Batman figure, just plain and simple. I think the Christian Bale figure here using that bulky animated cowl piece doesn't work, and I've made it clear on this channel that I do not like seeing the live action Batman actors portrayed with the inaccurate white eyes look for their cowls. He uses the rubber cape piece, which I still like at this point. I think people are mostly mixed on this maybe. I don't want to see it used on every single Batman figure, of course, which is definitely what's going to be happening, so it's something that I think will change with me over time. The villains though, I really hate how much I love these guys. I think they're pretty much perfect figures, honestly. I can't tell if there's anything new with the Joker or not. It looks to be the same or very similar to the previous releases. He's got that purple suit on, which is the definite ideal look and design there. It's a figure that I've never had in my collection before either. It really goes to show you that you shouldn't necessarily jump the gun on buying these massive scale Batmobiles then if you're only wanting those figures, because now we've seen both of the 89 Batman figures and the Dark Knight figures appear in smaller playscale sets. Two-Face looks like a pretty decent kid-friendly depiction of that gruesome appearance from the film. That design was really out there back in the day, and as a kid at the time, I remember it being a very controversial movie. Some people at the time, parents mostly, were very disapproving of the tone and the depictions of these comic book characters that were usually considered appropriate for children. I never thought I would ever see that Two-Face from the movie depicted in toy form, but thankfully, looks like these companies and people worldwide have aged up along with the movie. The most notable thing that I noticed with the Two-Face here is that burned hair piece, which covers only half of his head. It's the first Two-Face Lego figure I think to ever have that as an option. Lego in the 2020s have been really starting to show off their amazing developments with their hair molding process. I love the figures, but I have no desire for another Tumbler set. It should have been the one to work out a gimmick of including a Batpod, literally the most recognizable vehicle from that movie specifically. It's on the poster even. I have to imagine that a camo variant with Bane and Catwoman is on the horizon then to release in just a few years time, and yeah, that's probably a set that I'm gonna look at buying as well. I just can't justify nearly $100 NZD again here for what looks to be the very same build that I bought years ago. I bought the animated Batmobile for a cheaper price. I think it was closer to like $70 or so. That set is a bad set in my eyes. It's one that takes pure advantage of the fans' appreciation of the cartoon, and I think that this is no different. I think Lego know that you and audiences want to see Dark Knight sets and figures. They all know that we bought the last Tumbler, so they have to offer something desirable here. Here's two minifigures, one of which has never been released in a play-scaled set before, and one that's just never been made, period. It has roughly the same amount of pieces as the last model, but a significant price increase. If I'm going to buy it, I'm gonna have to look for an incredible sale price here, because I also imagine people are going to be banking on suckers like me only wanting the figures, and they're gonna charge something crazy like 50 to 60 bucks for them. At that point, you might as well just spend the extra maybe $30 to $40 and just buy that set. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm really happy to see something fresh here, both for the Batman movie sets and also characters in DC outside of Batman finally delivering on the branding of Lego DC, because man, it was just a painful 5 years of nothing but Batman, Batman, Batman. I'm not sold on these for their release prices though, so I'm feeling pretty similar to how I feel about the Marvel releases, but if we are counting, I think I'm interested in as many DC sets here as I am with the Marvel wave, and that wave's consisting of a lot more releases, so do with that information as you will. Whatever your thoughts are on these upcoming Lego DC sets, you should let me know down below. Liking this video here and subscribing to the channel does help to support more videos like this one in the future. Thank you very much for watching everyone, ka kite anō, hope to see you all next time.